eighth graders. It's me again, Irish Jamal Dunkel, and I am here to write some poetry with you again today. Welcome to week 3 of our poetry writing workshop. Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite poets. In fact, she's a poet that I started reading when I was in the 8th grade. So her name is Emily Dickinson, and maybe you've heard of her before. A lot of the times people think Emily Dickinson was this very, very quiet, reserved woman who didn't get out much and just wrote poetry and tied it together in little bundles and stuck it under her bed. Truth is, she was actually this really vibrant person. It's just history didn't remember her that way. So I would like to tell you a little bit about a poem by Emily Dickinson called Hope is the Thing with Feathers. Now, we're going to be using this poem as a way to talk about words that are called abstractions. Have you guys ever heard that term before? The word abstraction talks about all of these words that we use to describe things like emotions. Okay, the word that she's going to be writing about is the word hope, right? There's other words like love and hate and greed and anger, right? All of these words are abstract because what I think anger means is totally different than what you think anger means. Or what I think love means, right, is totally different than what you think love means. Plus, it's totally different depending on the situation, right? You love your boyfriend differently than you love your brother, right? Like it's just all these different definitions of these abstract words. So let's start off by reading Emily Dickinson's poem, Hope is the Thing with Feathers, together. Hope is the thing with feathers. And actually, this is the title of this poem is 314. It doesn't actually have a title, but everyone just calls it by its first line. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. So let's talk a little bit about what this poem means, right? The idea of hope is a thing with feathers, right? So she's thinking of the idea that hope, right? Think about what it means to be hopeful, right? It's like you have this thing floating above you that you're dreaming about, right? And she sees it as a little bird. Okay, so hope is the thing with feathers, this bird that perches in the soul. That idea that there's a bird inside you, right? That's perching there, helping you through the darkest of your days, okay? And sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. So the idea that hope is always with you, no matter what is going on, and it's singing to you in a language that only you know, okay? Think of things that make you hopeful, okay? They keep you going. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm. So that's the things that come against you in your life, right? Say, you know, something bad happens to you and you don't know how you're going to get through it. It's that little bird inside you, right? That no matter what happens, even if there's a gale is a really big wind, or if there's a really big storm, right? No matter what, you have this bird that will help you get through. And then the idea that this is not just something that relates to you and the bird, right? It's actually something that everybody has, right? I've heard it in the chillest land. So even in places where everything is so dismal and dark, still you see hope, is what she's saying. And I've heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, and never, yet never an extremity. So even in these far off places, even in these extreme circumstances, so even when you're at your lowest low, right? Hope won't ask anything of you. It will just keep singing. So that is Emily Dickinson's poem. So by her explanation of hope, right, we really get a very personal meaning of what hope is, right? It's not an abstract word anymore because it's become this, she's made this metaphor, right? She's made hope into a little bird that's perching in our souls. Okay, now I want you to think about it in the same way, right? Think of an abstract idea like hope or love or hate, right? Or jealousy or beauty or fear, right? Each of these words, remember, means something totally different to all of us, okay? My definition of hope is totally different from Emily Dickinson's, as is it's probably totally different than yours, right? But but when we read Emily Dickinson's poem, right, we really feel what her definition of hope is, right? That it's this bird-like thing perching in our souls. Okay, so what I would like you to do is first you're going to think of an abstract word, okay? And you're going to write it at the top of your page. So what I would suggest is I'm going to take you through an exercise, and I would suggest that you pause the video while you complete what I'm asking you to do, okay? So right now, pause the video and write an abstract word at the top of your page. Next, I want you to think about and write answers to the following questions. What does your abstract word look like? If you could describe it as something, okay? Remember, if you're describing the word anger, I want you to make anger into something, right? Just like she made hope into a bird, right? I want you to make it into something, right? Something special to you, to your type of anger, okay? What does it sound like? What does anger sound like to you? What does it taste like? Now, remember, you can't actually taste anger. This is where you have to use your imagination. So what could you compare it to, right? Like I would think that anger tastes like something briny, right? Something salty, right? But maybe to you it's like fiery hot peppers, right? So I want you to think about it. What does it smell like, right? Maybe it smells like smoke, right? What does it feel like? If you could touch anger, would it be hot to touch? Um, and then I want you to write all these down. Okay, so give yourself 10 or 15 minutes to write down answers to all these questions. So stop the video now and write what your abstract word looks like, what it sounds like, what it tastes like, what it smells like, and what it feels like. Don't be afraid to use your imagination and get weird. Now that you're back, okay, now that you have an idea of what your abstract word looks like to you and what it sounds like and smells like and tastes like and feels like, right? I'd like you to think about how it serves you. Okay, so hope was something to Emily Dickinson that was always singing to her, right? Or if it's something that's not a good feeling, right? How does it make your life more difficult? I want you to think about that. When was the last time that you felt that emotion or idea? So think back and when did you think of it last? When did you feel angry? When did you feel love, right? Think about it. And if your abstract word were going to be battling against something, what would it battle against, right? Like maybe your anger is going to take on Godzilla, right? Like seriously, I want you to put it in a battle against something, okay? And would it win or would it not win? I want you to think about it. All right, so take a moment, maybe 10, 15 minutes to write your answers to those questions and then come back to me. All right, welcome back. Now, I want you to think about how your abstract word serves other people. Kind of like Emily Dickinson's hope, right? Is there in everybody, and it doesn't ask anything of us, right? To do what it does. So I want you to think, do other people benefit from your abstract idea or abstract word? Or does it make other people's lives more difficult? And if so, how? And in the end, does it expect anything of us? Or or is it something that just keeps going for us? Okay. I want you to think about that and spend the next 10 minutes or so writing your answers. So I'll pause the video. I would suggest you pause the video now and complete that task. Okay, welcome back. Now it's time to pull all of those answers. That was your pre-work, okay? Now it's time to pull all of those answers into your own poem, okay? In poetry, we try to choose the best word possible to make the reader feel the most when they read the poem. So as you start to compose your poem, I want you to think about how long you want it to be. Okay, so if you write a long line, your poem reads really slow. Okay, if you write a short line like Emily Dickinson, your poem reads faster. Okay, so I want you, and I also want you to be really specific with your words. Okay, so don't just say the word black, right? Say what color of black it is. Is it raven black? Is it midnight black? Like, I want you to really, really think of words specifically, okay? Now, you can just go with what you wrote and convert it into a poem, like put it in lines that are either short or long, right? Thinking about how long you want those lines to be, thinking about your word choice, right? And maybe thinking a little bit about making a portrait of that word for us so we really feel what that abstract word is for you, okay? Now, if you're stuck, I have a little solution for you, okay? You can use the model that I have posted as part of this, and I have it up here on the screen right now, to really use Emily Dickinson's model to make your own poem. So you could say, anger is the thing with, and then you'll compare it to whatever you're going to compare anger to. What does it look like to you, right? Maybe anger is the thing with fangs, right? That claws at my brain, right? That's a way to set it up for yourself, right? And you can use these other words, right? You can talk about the thing your abstract word would battle in the next line. And then in the next line, you can talk about the battle and how your abstract word, right, as what you're calling it, fares against the other thing in the battle. Does it win? Does it not win? Right? And then what does the abstract word mean to everyone else, right? Remember, that's the last part you were writing about. What does it mean to everybody else? And then finally, what does it ask of everyone else? Or what does it ask of you? Finish on that thought. All right, you guys. It's that easy this week to write your poem. I've been enjoying reading your poems. You're all doing an excellent job. And it's so nice even to virtually write with you. Don't forget, if you ever have a question, you can post it in the poem that you publish, that you turn in. I would love to answer your questions as well as read your amazing poetry. All right, that's it for this week. We have one more lesson after this. And next week, I'll guide you in a writing exercise, and I'll teach you a little bit about how to revise your poems to make them even better. All right, good job. See you next week.